This is my Halloween tablescape with Bratz 2006 Meygan, 1990s Barbie Teresa, and a vintage dress me doll from the 1950s. Though Meygan has the dress colors of fall, I prefer to create a new Halloween dress for her with the same styling. I've created a witch's hat for Teresa, but was too big, so I placed it on Meygan. Meygan's dress will have a change out. I also changed her boots to the Rock Angel's black boots, which belong to Yasmin. Here is Teresa. She is wearing an applique of a bat motif and matching witch store-bought hat. Her dress is made of cotton of lavender and orange, white checkered colors in a long dress version. I made her broom with a wood barbecue stick and jute twine. Here is my vintage 1950s dress me doll. I made her cotton dress and matching hat. I crocheted a simple chain stitch from blue acrylic yarn to trim her hat and dress. Her broom is store-bought from Hobby Lobby. This is the cotton fabric that I took the applique cutouts for Teresa and Meygan's dresses. And there are very many options here. You can have a witch, you can have a pumpkin, here you can have a cat, there is a spider, and there is a bat. And here's the cat that I've already cut out. And we move over here again. There are also different kinds of bats that I see here. There are 3 bats in one and 1 bat with stars. And again here I've cut out the witch that has the broom in it. And there is another motif also that has the witch. It will fit the dress at the very front. So I selected this pattern. It's very simple. It's just a shift dress, and I will be appliquing at the front of this dress pattern. And here's the pattern and the fabric. I've already cut it off the camera. With a small scale, I have to be careful that I don't cut too much and leave enough room for the seam allowance. I'm going to take a look at how I could envision the way the cutouts will look like. And here I'm placing the cat to see how it would look. And here's a witch as well. I'm gonna try to put that on as well, just to view what it would look like at the surface. It's slightly bigger than I would like, but it will do. If I need to place it, just lower it down. And here's the one with the spider. It's an off type of side cutout. It might be kind of creative. You can also put this in the skirt if you want. I selected to use the cat to simply place straight on the dress. I'm going to baste the cat cutout with a single thread. In this way, the swatch will not shift around when I put this applique process in the sewing machine. I use a straight pin to hold the cutout in place so that when I use the running stitches for the basting, it will not move around. I start the basting process from the back, and I'm just using straight stitches to hold it down, and I keep the stitches small with a black thread. I will not be removing the black thread out of this swatch, so it will stay in place after I've stitched it down by machine. With small running stitches, I base down the cutout into my base fabric. I'm stitching all around, and I make sure that I don't pull the thread so tightly that it will pucker. And if it does pucker, I will take the time to smooth out the surface. In that way, it won't have any wrinkles or puckering once the machine stitching is stitched on top of these running stitches. So take your time, because it is difficult to sew it down, and if you're in a hurry, you could easily pull the thread so tightly. And if you do pull it so tightly, sometimes on the straightening process, you will unravel the sides of the cutout. So just take your time when you're doing this process. After I stitch down my cutout, I remove my pin, and then I smooth out the surface. In that way, any puckers that I've made can come out. And then if there are any stray threads here, I just gently pull it out. Just gently pull it out. And then I take my thread to the back, and then I tie off at the back. Here is the applique cutout that I have sewn into the bodice of the dress by using zigzag stitching in the sewing machine. I have elected to sew this without the camera at point because I really needed to focus because of the small surface that I'm working on. I didn't want to stitch my fingers down with a cutout. I start with small zigzag stitching at the shoulders. This step is tricky, so watch your fingers. This dress can be made safely by hand, but for expediency, I used my sewing machine. I zigzagged the edges of the armholes, sides, and the back openings. Here's the stitched shoulder seams. It looks better after it is pressed. I proceeded to sew the dress off camera for safety. Here are the sewing steps that I took off camera. I finished the armholes with zigzag stitching, clipped, and then turned under with stitching. I then pressed the seams open and proceeded to finish the sides with zigzag stitching also. I stitched the side seams with straight stitching. Here is the view where I applied the bias binding. I elect to use bias binding for strength at the neckline, where I'll be sewing down the snaps at the back. I do the same process for the bias binding at the hem of the dress. And this is optional at the hem. It helps me bind the two colors together, the neckline and then the hem of the dress. The final step for the bias binding is stitched by hand. Here is Meygan's completed new Halloween ensemble for 2024. Here is the final view of my Halloween tablescape this year. Incidentally, if you are wondering where I got the pumpkin baskets, I bought them from Walmart and the dollar store here in New Mexico, USA. I'm not sponsored, so I'm just giving info on where I bought them. Have a great Halloween, everyone, and thank you for watching. Till next time.